everyone, welcome to Walks with Moss. We are having the most epic mushroom year ever. The chanterelles are just completely off the rails this year. I've already got all the mushrooms I want for the year, but we're going to go pick some for my cousin. I've promised my cousin a grocery sack full of chanterelles because I'm that sure I can deliver them. It's just, I've just never seen so many chanterelles before. Last year we had hardly any chanterelles, but they're making up for it this year. So we're gonna head that way to a chanterelle patch I just discovered. But first, check this out. Here is a Lactarius deliciosus, and it's one of the biggest ones I've ever seen. It is so big, I thought it was a Swillis when I first looked at it, but no, it's Lactarius deliciosus. And the fun thing about these mushrooms is they lactate. If you cut them, sometimes just along the gills, depending on how juicy they are, or along the edge, they bleed this red latex. But eventually that latex turns green. It's just the wildest thing. You can see some hints of green there. These are really brittle, and I'm just starting my hike. So I'm just going to set this here and hopefully no one takes it before I get back. These don't travel well. What have we got here? There's a few different things to come to mind. At first, I looked at it and thought, ooh, maybe a matsutake. Then I'm like, oh, maybe a Smith's Amanita, maybe a Russula brevipe. See, these spots right here could either be Amanita spots or the scales that form on a matsutake. But I'm guessing this is going to be Smith's Amanita. What do we got? Yep, this is Smith's Amanita. You can tell by how powdery it is when you touch the, whatever these things are called, I forget. And then it's got this bulb here, this sac that it came out of. These are associated with matsutake. I almost always find these where I find matsutake. And you need to be careful, because this is deadly poisonous. This is Amanita smithii. Let's take a look at it. It doesn't hurt you to touch poison mushrooms. This is the vulva that it came out of. You can see it's a little bit rotten. But when you reach down, you think you have a matsutake, but you feel something soft and powdery. You know you've got Smith's Amanita. And that's not something you want to eat. I'll be really surprised if I don't find some matsutake in these woods. I think it's just a little bit early in the season yet, although I know some people are finding them already. So I've got my eyes peeled. Here we have a Lycoperdum perlatum mushroom. The perlatum refers to these pearls on the top. These are edible as long as they haven't turned brown inside. If there's any trace of this brown inside a puffball, then you don't want to eat it. But if it's pure white on the inside, then you can eat it. We have reached my chanterelle spot. It's just right back in there. But I'm going to do some other looking around before I head into there. I want to explore and see new things. Oh, check these out. Aren't these cute little mushrooms? Not sure what these are. They sure are cute though. Here's another mushroom that can sometimes superficially be mistaken for matsutake. This is Russula brevipe. Sometimes these turn orange and then they become the lobster mushroom. Here's another one here. If I can find one of these that's nice and clean and has no worms today, I'm going to take it home with me, I think. I really want to find a lobster mushroom too, so I can do a taste test to see if it's really true that people can't tell the difference between these and lobster mushrooms in a blind taste test. Here is our first chanterelle. There we go. I'm not going to pick it though because I don't feel like carrying it just yet, and I'm coming back through here in a little bit. There's one, and there's one, and there's one. And there might be more here, except I've actually already picked a little bit in this spot. And this is an area that was new to me until last week. I'm going to have so many new places to look for chanterelles this year. There's a few more right there too. It is a beautiful fall day. Oh, look. There's a beautiful one there. And look, that nice dry one back in there. And a nice one there. It's a beautiful fall day though, so I'm going to wait until I'm on my way back before I do some mushroom hunting, or picking anyway. And what I'm actually going to do is do some exploring through here and see if I can connect up to another piece of property by going through here. Here's a giant Russula brevipies. The last time I saw this one, it was still standing. It's down now, but look at the size of that. That one's a beast. It's just such a gorgeous day though. Good day to do some brush crashing. This area looks quite promising to me as far as chanterelles, not just because I've already found some, but because it's kind of moist and it's kind of open and it's got the slough and it just looks good for chanterelles. These are western red cedars, and we don't find mycorrhizal mushrooms associated with these, at least not edible ones. So you're kind of wasting your time if you're looking under cedar trees. We're mostly into cedar trees now, so let's keep moving. See if we can find some more Douglas fir. We've gotten away from all the cedar trees, but now we're in an area with kind of big Douglas fir. And the chanterelles are actually associated with kind of medium-sized Douglas fir. Oh, looky here. There's a skull here. What have we got? I think this is a possum. It could be a raccoon too. There's the skull and the upper teeth, and there's some of the lower teeth there. Awesome. I would take it, but I don't have kids at home anymore that are into collecting these things, so I'll just leave it. Here's a Phaleus schwinnitzii, Dyer's polypore, also sometimes known as butt rot. I guess it's useful for dyeing things, but it's not good to eat. And it's often used as an excuse to log forests, and I don't like that at all. It's a cool mushroom. When it's younger, it's really brightly colored. Now over there in the distance, I see a huge white mushroom growing out of a dead log. Let's go check it out. I see, it's some sort of a conch. It had me tricked because it almost looked like it had a stem. Well, here's a pretty cool find. Or it would be if it was fresher. It's a lobster mushroom. And I think an animal has been eating it. And it's pretty far gone too. This is really fun for me to be in an area I've never been in before and off trail. Here's a lobster mushroom. Is this a keeper? Ooh, look at this. Look at this. I think this might be a keeper. Let's cut it open and see. It might be. Just depends on how wormy it is. Ooh, yeah, it's a good one. All right. Yay, my first lobster mushroom of the year. This is definitely one for the bag. And lobster mushrooms get their own separate bag since they're so dirty. When you find a lobster mushroom, always check for more. They tend to occur in groups. Here's another one here. I'm not sure how good this one is going to be. Let's pull it up and see. These lobster mushrooms tend to come back in the same place year after year, so I will mark this and I'll come back next year and check. Let's see what kind of condition this stem is in. I know some people would eat that, but I'm not going to. It's not too bad. A lot of people would keep it. I'm not. It's got too many wormholes. I'm not interested. Here's a neat looking mushroom. I don't know what it is. Oh, I think it might be a bolete. I'm not going to pick it just to find out what it is. What I'm going to do is just take a little bit off here so we can see the underside. Huh. It doesn't have gills or pores yet. Maybe it's going to have pores eventually. It's not staining. Huh. Don't know what this is. There's another one underneath it. I don't know what that is. If I didn't have a million other things to do, I'd probably take it home and key it out. But I'll take some good pictures of it and see if I can figure out when I get home. And please let me know if you know what it is. We've gotten away from the cedar trees and the bigger Douglas firs, and now we're into an area of smaller second or third growth Douglas fir. And it's pretty moist here. We've got the salal, we've got the ferns. This looks like prime chanterelle habitat. I've never been here before, but this sure has all the looks of an area where I'll find lots of chanterelles. So let's just start exploring. Okay, I walked 5 feet after I said that, and what did I find? Chanterelles. Here we go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then when you find the host tree, which is probably this one, just walk in a circle around it and you'll probably find more. There's 6. Still going around the same tree in a circle. I don't see any on this side, but I know there's a few others just on the other side of this circle here. Right in here I saw another one. Here we go, a new chanterelle spot, but there aren't very many here, and I'm going to hold off a little bit still before I start picking. Here we are, here's the others, 7, 8. Let's keep looking through here. The way this year's been, and with the looks of this particular forest slash tree farm, I expect there's going to be a mother load of chanterelles back in here somewhere. They seem to be following kind of a deer trail right now. Here's a couple more lobster mushrooms that look pretty good. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Hardly any rot or bugs in that. Here's a great big lobster mushroom, which is definitely going to be too far gone. When they get this brightly colored, this brightly red, they're definitely done. Over here we have a giant Crogompus tomentosa, sometimes called the pine spike. They're edible, but not very good. I just like to enjoy their beauty. We went down into this kind of swampy area. We're not in the area anymore that looks so good for chanterelles. But I see a giant lobster mushroom, and from here, it looks okay. Let's go check it out. Let's see if it's going to be a good one to harvest. Do you see it? Here it is. Look at that monster. It looks pretty solid. It looks pretty darn solid. Oh, it feels solid too. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I think this is going to be a good one. Look at that. I'll cut open the base of it here and we'll see if it's a good solid one. Wow. Very cool. Let's see what we've got. Let's cut the bottom off of this and see how solid it is. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Oh, it's a little wormy. It's a little wormy, but let's shave a little bit more off. Well, you know, it's a little wormy, but I still think it's a keeper because it's one of those ones where all the worms have left. So this is a good one. Yep, this is a good one. I'd be happier if it didn't have any of these wormholes, but all these worms are gone and the stem is super solid and it's super fresh feeling. So I'm going to eat this. I can hardly wait. That's a nice little collection of lobster mushrooms. Here's another animal skull. I think it's a beaver. Wow. I've never found a beaver skull before. I'll probably just leave that be too. I don't know what the rules are about collecting beaver skulls. I bet beavers are protected. My very first beaver skull. Obviously, no one walks back here. I've found 2 skulls, and they wouldn't be here if hardly anybody, if anybody walked back here. So these must just be my woods right now. Pretty cool. Wow, I'd like to keep that, but I just don't know what the rules are about beaver skulls. I could get in trouble. It sure is a cool one, though. I'm going to leave this skull on top of this stump. I think skulls are cool, but I find them a lot, and I don't think they're that actually cool to keep in my yard. If I still had kids that were speaking to me, I would bring them this skull, but I don't, so they're not getting it, I guess. That's the way it works. There's more lobster mushrooms here. I can tell by the red color these are too far gone. And I've also just got more lobster mushrooms. Well, not more, but I don't want to carry any more lobster mushrooms, so I'm going to stop harvesting lobsters unless I find some really outstanding ones. I don't know what this is. Maybe it's somebody's apple feeding station for deer. At first I thought I found a discarded oil barrel, but this is something somebody's using. Huh. I've never seen this before. I feel like it's designed to feed bears or deer, but it hasn't been used in a while. It could mean there's a game camera somewhere around here though. I have got to stop picking lobster mushrooms. I'm out here for chanterelles, darn it. Look at all these though. These are going to be heavy. I need to stop, but I don't think I'll come back here, so I want to pick them while I'm here. I better just get out of here and go to my chanterelle spot. It didn't take me much time to clean up that patch, but there's still lots of little buttons. I could come back here and pick again. I probably won't though, because there's so many other places to pick chanterelles this year. But I left plenty behind. Here's what appears to be a couple of real nice shrimp russula. Russula zarampolina. These look nice and clean. They look the right color. They're staining brown quickly. Almost certain we've got Russula zarampolina here. The only way to know for sure, though, for me, is to taste it. Oh, it doesn't smell very shrimpy, but I think we've got the shrimp here. Oh, this one looks a little rotten. I think this one might be... Well, it's soft, but it's not buggy. Anyway, I think this is a shrimp. It's got the blush that shrimps are supposed to have. It's got the sticky cap. It smells a little bit shrimpy. Oh, and here's another one over here. Oh, and more and more. Wow. I did the nibble and spit test, and yes, these are definitely shrimp russula group, Russula zarampolina. I'm doing my best to try to clean off the tops of these in this Kindbergia oregana moss. And it's actually working pretty well. So there we go, Kindbergia oregana, Oregon beak moss for cleaning your shrimp russulas. Yeah, let's have a toast to the Pacific Northwest in the fall. Is there any greater place to be in the fall? I don't know. Is there any greater time in the Pacific Northwest than the fall? I don't think so. I just love the fall. Cheers. Here we have a bolete that's a member of the Swillis family. You'll often find these growing under these long-needled pine trees. I think these are ponderosa pine. I'm not very good with my pines. There's white pines back here too, but they're not native. I don't care for Swillis. It makes me happy to see them just because they're mushrooms, but I've tried eating them many different ways, and I just don't care for them. Yeet! I think I found some more shrimp russulas here. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. Beautiful and in good condition. Yum. I love eating shrimp russulas. Here's some more swillis growing in a really beautiful patch of Polytrichum moss. Probably Polytrichum commune. Slimy, slimy swillis. We got up on a higher road away from the wet area, and if we want to get more chanterelles on this trip, I think it means we're going to need to do some brush crashing to get back down to that wet area. So I guess I better energize myself with some evergreen huckleberries first. Yum. I thought this was a chanterelle at first, but it's another Lactarius deliciosus with a pool of water in it. We're not coming back this way, and they're too fragile to pack around much, so I'm just going to leave this one behind. I think one thing that's contributing to my good mood here today is there's hardly any airplane noise. I can hear some car traffic noise, but that doesn't really bother me. It's the airplanes when they're droning overhead, especially the Kapowsin skydive airplane, that just really grate on my nerves and make me want to hide. But I haven't heard that plane at all today. Maybe they don't fly much on Thursdays. Might be something I can make a note of. Go hiking on Thursdays so I don't have to hear that plane. We're about to do some serious brush crashing. I hope we can make it through. Right now we're walking down an abandoned logging road, which I think has been treated to kill the Scots broom. This is all dead Scots broom here. And we're gonna take this to the end and then try to brush crash down to the road that we started our journey on, because that's where the mushrooms are. I want to attempt to brush crash a fair distance. It's really going to depend on how clear the forest is, how many of these darn huckleberries are in the way. Brush pickers have been back here, so it might be clear enough to get through. Let's find out. Here's a Russula brevipes that was pretending to be a Matsutake. I'm going to go ahead and grab it because it's a nice clean one, and I can use it in my taste test to see if it tastes any different than a lobster mushroom. We are actually still on an abandoned logging road, even though it feels like brush crashing, but I can see the occasional trenches. Oh, there's some more bones. Wow, this is really the day for bones. What do we got here? There's some teeth too. Wow, finding so many bones today. Anyway, I suspect this old road actually used to connect up with the other road. So I think we're going to make it through. But they have definitely ditched up this road, and it's very overgrown. So it's going to take some effort to get through. I can't tell if we're on an old road anymore. It's gotten pretty rough. My phone fell out of my pocket, but I basically felt it fall out because I kind of had my hand on it when it fell out. Still took me a moment to find it. Now I've got the volume on it turned all the way up so that if that happens again, I can say, "Hey Siri, where are you?" And maybe I'll find it. What do we got here? Ooh, a grisette. At first I thought a deer mushroom, but that round bulb, that means amanita. And apparently these are edible, but I'm not eating amanitas. I don't really recognize this area, but according to my GPS, we are basically back where we were brush crashing before. In fact, here's the waypoint I marked, yellow. Yellow would be chanterelle. Orange would be lobster. We're very close to where I found that beaver skull, and a couple people have told me they want it now, but I'm not going to get it now. I'm going to save it for another day. Oh, I remember this log. Bella tried to jump over this log earlier and failed. Yay, we made it through. I've never tried going through here before. We're taking a slightly different route back, and look what we found, a partially hollowed out cedar tree. Ah, there was fire here. I wondered if there'd been fire here, because I know it's been logged, but I don't see very many old growth stumps in this area. So they probably burned it after they logged it, or it accidentally caught fire. And here's my first proof that fire has been through here, right there. Here we are back at the giant Russula, my mushroom waypoint. We are back where we started. There's a boat back here, but I don't think it's been used in a long time. It's got a lot of needles on it. Here's some Gomphidius subroseus. I like them. They're pretty. They're not good to eat, though. Not at all. Here's a very brown russula that turns black. I'll bet you it's poison. We have arrived at Chanterelle Wonderland. Look at these monster chanterelles. Chanterelles off of the rails. Ooh, look back here too. Look at these little white mushrooms. I think they're puffballs, but I've never seen such a big cropping of them before. Look at all of those. Lycoperdon perulatum. Look at all those. Wow. I sure wish I liked to eat puffballs, but I just don't. Because these, when they're perfectly white like this, are edible. But I don't like them. I just don't. Every time I've tried eating puffballs, I just did not like them. So let's get down to the business of picking these chanterelles for my cousin. I think that's enough for my cousin. I might come back later and get some more for canning, but first I've got to get some jars. When we get back home, I'll spread these all out on the counter so you all can see what I harvested. But I think it's time to leave the woods now, or at least it's time to stop picking because my bag is heavy.